Yo, what's happening everyone? G Money Bowman here. I just wanted to at least showcase the deck I was using for this match. This pretty much was actually kind of a fun deck. I actually got to play around with. I did see this one time in some couple of videos, and honestly, it just kind of looked interesting, but it definitely took me quite some time to put together because of certain cards that were ultra rares and stuff. But I figured we'd go over the deck real quick here. What we have here, we got two copies of Karibo. One copy of DD Crow, which I actually did utilize DD Crow pretty well in this one match. Justo Comfort, just in case we need some level 1s. GoldenEye Idol, which is actually a very good card to have, especially you can basically trigger its effect where if this card was either banished or sent to the graveyard by the card effect, you can target one effect monster in your opponent's control, equip that effect monster to one Eyes Restricted or Relinquished monster you control that cannot be normal summon. While equipped by this effect, that monster gains the attack equal to the attack of the equipped monster. So this is actually did use this pretty well. Same thing like this card here as well. It does pretty much the same thing too. So it's actually pretty nice. I didn't get a chance to use this one, but yeah. Obviously I have an Ash Blossom just in case, you know, if I want to negate something that requires them touching the deck. Obviously Manju of the 10,000 hands. Pretty standard for ritual decks, really. At least before, unless you're playing Nekwas, then I don't think you want to play this. Illusion Faceless Magician, which is a very rare occurrence. And also a couple of Kaiju tech cards, which Kaijus are actually very good for this deck. Especially when you want to steal your opponent's monsters too, especially when you tribute the monsters away with the Kaiju, and then if you have the Kaiju monsters positioned under the extra monster zone, that's when cards like Relinquished Anima comes in a really good play that allows me to suck up my opponent's monsters. So pretty good. 3 copies of Relinquished because, you know, you need 3 copies of Relinquished. Plus it's a normal rarity and it's actually it's not too bad to go into if you want to play this, but it's always good to go into the extra deck. And obviously the spell cards, Monster Reborn, and Happy Sphere Duster. I use Instant Fusion, just in case. I really rarely use this card, but it does come up. And I only have 1 copy of this. I would like to have 2, but 1 copy seems to be doing okay so far. This allows me to basically destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, and special summon 2 attack position Kaiju monsters from my deck. 1 to my opponent's field and 1 to my field. So also good card to board wipe your opponent's monsters, if they don't have anything to negate this, that is. Obviously, preparations of riots, and then Black Illusions Ritual, 2 copies of Super Polymerization, Super Poly, and then Relinquished Fusion. This is also a very good card, and if you activate this effect during your turn, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent control, and you can equip that target to an Ice Restrict Fusion monster or Relinquished monster you control, as if it was equipped by the monster's effect. So it's really handy. Extra deck, got 1,000 Ice Restrict. I really, again, don't go into this one since Million Eyes Restrict is way more better. It's a little bit more better because it negates any monster effects once per turn. And I can also steal my opponent's monsters as well. Just very, very nice. Very, very nice to go into. And it negates the activation of the effect after stealing. Mud Dragon of the Swamp. This is kind of a niche, useful situation. I either use it to take care of a certain monster my opponent may have, but it's pretty niche, or I use it for an instant fusion target. I also have Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, which is a pretty good one to go into, especially if you have Super Poly. This is a Super Poly target, so if my opponent has a Dark Monster and I have a Dark Monster, or if they happen to have 2 Dark Monsters on their field, then that'd be good, so that I can use this to basically wipe away my opponent's field. Same thing for this one a little bit, but except this one requires a fusion monster, but which again, probably be good if I go into Mud Dragon and they swap out the attribute to Dark. And then if my opponent has a Dark monster, boom, Super Poly target. Linkable, kind of a situation, it's kind of situational, but it has its uses. Relinquished Anima, pretty good, only if you have your opponent's monster facing where the extra deck is actually positioned at. Really helps. Nightmare Phoenix, pretty useful to pop spells. Yep, target 1 spell on the field. Masquerade. I really get to use this card. Really. So far I have not gotten any luck with it. But it is actually not too bad to go into, especially if you also combine it with the combination of Nightmare Unicorn. Especially if you link summon away doing your opponent's own, and if you happen to have a second monster with it, it's a good way to also go into this, because this acts as a way to form of basically to remove a card on the field, and it doesn't destroy it or anything. It just moves it off the field and it just shovels it back into the deck. So it's actually pretty good. Because the super ultra generic Link monster of all time, Predator Invertate on the corner, pretty handy to go into. I don't like this card. Reason I don't like it because it's just too generic, but it's such a very powerful card for fusion decks, really. Especially you can actually just basically activate the other kindness effect to basically pay 2,000 life points, and then you just hit a fusion or polymerization normal or quick away spell card from your deck to the graveyard. It basically just acts like a spell card, basically, based off its effect, so it's just pretty nasty card. And then last but not least, access Kotaku, just in case, if I need to basically keep popping my opponents through, if I have enough Link monsters in my graveyard, which I, again, really go into the Link monsters as much, because most of the time, it's mostly the Relinquished, Mammalian, Eyes with Swick cards, or usually the Pop Star here, and the Kaijus. They're pretty much the main stars here. So, sorry for that long introduction to this deck. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of this match, and have a good one.